Hello everyone, and welcome to Good Success in English. My name is Benjamin, and in today's video we shall be discussing how to write an article. An article is a piece of writing that discusses an issue of public interest, which is why it is always meant to be published in a newspaper or magazine. There are different types of articles, but we should concern ourselves with two major or basic types of articles. The first one is articles meant for a general audience, and the second one is articles meant for a particular audience. Articles meant for a general audience are articles published on national newspapers or international magazines. And then articles meant for particular interest are articles such as those published in a school magazine or in journals that cater to the interest of a particular community of people, such as scientific journal or any other type of journal. But let's look at article in general, how to write an article. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you won't miss a new video when it is uploaded. Let's get started with today's topic, how to write an article. And I have inserted my email address here. You can write to me via this email address, benjamininfo33@gmail.com, in case you are interested in picking a copy of my ebook, which is Good Success in English, published on Amazon.com. If you write me with this email address, of course, you can have a copy of the book and other books that are available. Now, let's get started. Now, an article has some definite parts: the headline, the introduction, the body of the article, which is made up of various paragraphs. Here we have articulated paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5. Depending on the number of points that you want to discuss within the body paragraphs. And then the next part of the article is the conclusion. Of course, we have the writer's name and we have the location. There are different ways. In some cases, you have immediately after the headline, you have what we call the byline, which is the journalistic style. The writer or the reporter is indicated immediately after the headline. But for the purpose of an English exam, such as the West African Senior School Certificate Exam or the NECO Senior School Certificate Exam, of course, you can follow the traditional procedure. After the entire article, then you insert your name here and your location. We will discuss this shortly. Now, let's look at the headline. Is the title of the article, and it should be given prominence. In general essays, there are two ways of presenting your title or your headline. The headline, because this is an article, and generally for any piece of writing, it should be catchy, because it should be attention grabbing. That is what compels the readers to want to read the article. The headline is the first start, it gives the first impression, so it should be given prominence. And the best way to do that is to render the headline as a topic on the top center of your writing sheet in capital letters. And when you write your headline in capital letters, you don't need to underline it. Of course, there is an alternative way of doing that, the underlined method. The first method I mentioned is what I call the total capitalization method. The other one is the underline method, where you write a mixture of capital letter and small letters and then you underline. So whichever one you choose, Then you write the headline. And after that, what follows is the first paragraph, which is your introductory paragraph. There are 4 essential ingredients that a good introductory paragraph should contain. And it is even more important when you are dealing with an article. You know, for all kinds of writings, these 4 essential ingredients are required to enrich your introductory paragraph. But even for an article, it becomes even more compelling because being a piece of writing to be published in a national newspaper or magazine, normally if you are writing any of the senior school certificate exams, while we usually present their article writing question like this, they will ask you to write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper or a magazine. They will spell it out, or a school magazine, you know, discussing. Then they tell you the issue you need to discuss. So what I want to draw your attention to is the fact that it's suitable for publication in a particular section of the print media. This is why you must apply the journalistic style of writing, which we call the inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid this is an inverted pyramid. And what it means is that the first paragraph, which is the introduction here, should contain more information, so that as you go down, the other paragraphs will be less and less and less. You know, that's the way journalists write. And this is because when you pick a particular article in a newspaper, you may not have all the time to read everything there. So the idea of using the inverted pyramid style of writing is to ensure that the key points, the key information, the key pieces of information are incorporated in the first paragraph, so that as a reader, if once you have gone through the first paragraph, you have a clear picture of everything the article is all about. And even if you don't read further, you already know what the news story is about, or what the news report is about, or what the article is about. So that's exactly the reason for the journalistic style of the inverted pyramid. But I have also told my students that this particular style of writing is even more compelling if you are writing an essay or an article for a particular external examination body, such as the West African School Certificate Exam or the NECO. The reason being that the examiner, whoever is going to mark your script, will not spend all their time marking your script alone. They have thousands of scripts to mark. In fact, the more scripts they mark, the more money they make. So you have to convince them in the first paragraph, or you risk the loss of marks. If you don't satisfy them in the first paragraph, they may lose interest and they will hurriedly award you marks that may not be meaningful. So that is why you need to enrich the first paragraph, and you must begin your first paragraph with the subject matter. Let's assume that you are going to write an article on the issue of the increasing rate of road accidents in Nigeria, and how to solve the problem. Okay, so your subject matter is about that problem. So there are different ways of presenting your subject matter, beginning with what we call the sentence opener, which is meant to grab the attention of the reader. You may use the direct method, in which you just go and you state the problem the way it is. You can say that the rate of road accidents in our country is increasing by the day at an alarming rate that can no longer be ignored. You have stated the problem direct. You may use the rhetorical question method, by just raising questions that will draw people's attention to the gravity of the problem. You may begin by saying, how long will the country continue to lose her citizens on the roads as a result of accident? How long will families weep and mourn their loved ones as a result of the carnage on our roads? How long will citizens suffer the pain of amputation and other injuries resulting from road accidents? How long will the government fold its hands and watch a major population of her labor force destroyed on our roads? Raise questions. A rhetorical question is not meant to be answered. It's a question that is raised to achieve emphasis or a dramatic effect. It's a question that is raised to draw the reader's attention to the gravity of the issue being discussed. And that is exactly what you want to achieve by raising those questions. You may decide to use what we call the provocation method. You come up with a report. You can say only last week 50 persons lost their lives tragically along the Lagos-Benin expressway when a luxury bus collided with a trailer. You have painted a picture that the reader cannot resist. 50 souls perished. That is the provocation method. There are other methods like the quotation method and so on and so forth. You pick the one that you believe will grab the attention of the reader. But the bottom line is that you just have to present the problem. What is this article about? What is the problem? Why should somebody read this article? What are you saying in this article? Is it worth reading? Is it a problem that concerns everybody in the society? That's what the subject matter is meant to present. Then the next is the thesis. The thesis is your central argument. That's the main idea. Let's take a look at the issue of the road accident. Is a very broad issue, and you cannot discuss everything that needs to be discussed about road accident. You cannot bite more than you can chew. So your thesis is your own viewpoint about that topic, what you are saying about that topic. You are not saying everything about that topic, but you are narrowing the topic to your own perspective. You are speaking about the topic from a given angle, so that you don't get lost in the middle of the Atlantic trying to talk about everything that needs to be talked about on a topic. So that is what the thesis is about. Now, let's look at the issue we have given as example for illustration, and the rising rate of road accidents. You have already talked about the effect. When you were introducing the subject matter, you have hinted on the effect, the damages. So you may not need to dwell on the effects in your article, because normally there are three major things you ought to have talked about: the causes, the effects, and the solutions. You have already hinted on the effects of road accidents on the lives and the economy of the citizen. Then you can now concern yourself with the factors responsible and the solutions that need to be profiled. So you construct a sentence that will present this idea that you really want to talk about in the article. So you can say, well, it has become imperative for us to critically examine the factors responsible for the increasing rate of road accidents on our roads, with a view to remedying the ugly situation. You have already defined your direction in this article, because what the thesis does is that it creates a sense of direction. It shows the reader where you are going. You are not talking about everything, but this is exactly what you are concerned with. That is your thesis. And having created your thesis, then you come up with your enumeration. An enumeration is a list of points or a list of items that are important. And in this case, you have already constructed your outline. You know, you normally in writing an article, you need to draw an outline. This is done in the pre-writing stage. Before you start writing anything, you take a sheet of paper. Of course, if you are going into the WAEC exam hall, nobody will allow you to go in with a sheet of paper. So once they have given you your answer sheet, you are free to use a page. You can use the last page of your answer script to draw an outline, jot down the points, and after that you neatly cancel it. It is allowed. And so let's assume that, you know, we have created 3 major points that we assume are the factors responsible for the increasing rate of road accidents. Number 1 is bad roads. Number 2, lack of vehicle maintenance. Number 3, driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. 3 prominent points. And your aim is to discuss them in paragraph 2, 3, and 4. And then in paragraph 5, you suggest the solutions. This is the planning. You need to plan your essay, because in everything you do in life, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's exactly. Now, these key points have already given you the material for your enumeration. So you just construct a sentence that will accommodate these 3 key points. And you can say, well, although there are many factors responsible for the increasing rate of road accidents, the 3 key factors readily come to mind, namely bad roads, lack of vehicle maintenance, and driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. You have enumerated your points, which is very, very important. Now, this is why when you cover these 4 essential ingredients in your introductory paragraph, of course, whoever reads it will know that you are a good writer. And of course, even having read the first paragraph, the examiner or the reader is already impressed. He has a big picture of what this article is about. It's really something that is worth reading, and is a problem that needs to be talked about. You are not writing about some useless or unimportant matter. So now, once you have written your enumeration, the next thing is the intro. An intro is simply a statement that ushers the reader into the next paragraph. So you can say, well, I shall be discussing these points in detail, one by one, in greater detail in the following paragraphs. Or you can say, in subsequent paragraphs, I will discuss or examine these points one by one. That is all. Now, the next will be you are now entering the body of the article, which begins with paragraph 2. And we are saying that you should always have a topic sentence in each paragraph. A topic sentence is a sentence that presents the main idea that you are discussing in each paragraph. Because what we call the principle of paragraphing, which is unity of idea, presupposes that a good writer should discuss one main idea in one paragraph. And so, having that in mind, you have 3 points which you are going to discuss in paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4. So in paragraph 2, you are going to discuss bad roads. First, come up with a topic sentence. You can begin with, to start with, most of the roads in Nigeria are bad. That can be your topic sentence. Or you can say one of the major factors responsible for road accidents in our country is bad roads. That is your topic sentence. But then that is not where it ends. You must come up with supporting details. Because when you raise an argument, you must back it up with evidence. Tell us what constitutes bad roads. You can say most of the roads contain potholes. And this causes accidents frequently because the speeding vehicles jump into the pothole and somersault, resulting in loss of lives, injuries, and loss of property. You are painting a clearer picture of how bad roads cause road accident. You can also go further to say that some of the roads are too narrow to accommodate vehicles coming from opposite directions. And the implication is that most times vehicles are involved in head-on collision. You are painting another picture. So don't say so too much. Once you have given a clear picture of the problem, then you leave it there. You go to the next one. In paragraph 3, you are discussing point 2, which is lack of vehicle maintenance. Here you can say that most of the vehicle owners in our country are only interested in the cash returns they receive from their drivers. They hardly find time and resources to maintain their vehicles. In most cases, you find vehicles plying our roads with worn-out tires, faulty brakes, and so many other, so many other problems. And these cause accidents. I mean, you have already stated your point. The next is driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Then you can say that most of our drivers drink alcohol while driving. Some even take drugs. So as they are plying the roads under the influence of the alcohol or drugs, their mental faculties are weakened and sometimes suspended. So they lack a sense of judgment. Sometimes they overtake where they should not overtake, and this results in accident. Under the influence of alcohol, a driver could even slip off on the steering, and sometimes you find that the bus or the vehicle plunges into the river, killing all the passengers on board. So you paint a picture of how this contributes to road accident, and once you have done that, then you are through with the paragraph 2, 3, and 4. In paragraph 5, you suggest the remedies. You pick the first one, which is bad roads. You say that the government should repair the roads, cover the potholes, and dualize the narrow ones so that the accidents on our roads will be minimized, if not eliminated. All right, lack of vehicle maintenance. You can say that the government should compel the vehicle inspection officers to rise to their responsibility of inspecting vehicles plying our roads with a view to impounding or confiscating vehicles that are not roadworthy and compelling their owners to repair and maintain them before bringing them out on the roads. Then regarding the driving under the influence of alcohol, you can say that mobile courts should be established to try and convict people guilty of drinking while driving or taking drugs while driving along the roads. They should be convicted, prosecuted and convicted as a deterrent to others. So once you have profiled the solutions, you are through with that, then paragraph 6 will be the conclusion. Normally, I want my students to write a 5-paragraph essay under exam condition. But certain essay, like an article of course is an elongated essay. An article discusses an issue of public interest, while an essay discusses an issue of personal interest, such as how I spent my last holiday, a day I will never forget, a place of interest I visited, and all that. It's always about personal interest. But an article discusses an issue of public interest, so it can be given more space. More so when you are discussing the factors and you are discussing the recommendations or the solutions, it becomes a little bit difficult how to squeeze them, since you are discussing each point in each paragraph. You have 3 points, so that takes you paragraph 2, 3, 4. So you logically use paragraph 5 to profile the solutions, and then your conclusion comes in paragraph 6. Your conclusion is simply to summarize the key points you have already discussed, and then re-emphasize your thesis and call on the authorities to take action in order to put a stop to the ugly situation. So, and you are through with your article. Then the next one is to write your name here, beginning with your surname. If your name is Samuel Olorunleke, you should begin with Olorunleke. So Olorunleke Samuel. If your name is Cyril Idoko, then it should be Idoko Cyril. If your name is Miriam Hassan, then it should be Hassan Miriam. That's the way it is. Then location should be the place where you reside. If you are residing in Surulere, you can write Surulere, Lagos, if you are writing for an article for publication in a national newspaper. If you are writing an article for publication in an international magazine, then you have to include the country name, because nobody may know Surulere. It's not in all places outside the country that somebody will know a place called Surulere or Ojo or Ajegule, So in that case, you have to write your location, your state, and your country. So in this case, you can write Surulere, Lagos, Nigeria, because it's for publication in an international magazine which is outside the country. Now, what if you are writing an article for publication in a school magazine? Very logically, once you have written your name, you write your class, SS3, or SS3 Gold. That's exactly the way it should be written. So this is how it has been in today's video. We have been discussing how to write an article, and we have looked at it thoroughly from different angles. So at this point in time, I just want to thank you for watching today's video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because in this channel we discuss various topics of benefit to humanity. It's not only English learning that we discuss here. Here we really devote time to discussing very important topics in English learning, but we also discuss other topics of benefit to humanity. So ensure that you subscribe so that whenever a new video will be uploaded, whenever it is uploaded, you will get instant notification. So that's the way it has to be. Don't forget also that if you are interested in getting a copy of Good Success in English, you can write me using my email address benjamininfo33@gmail.com. I wish you well. I want you to stay safe and continue learning, because learning is an essential part of life. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying intellectually and spiritually. So keep learning. See you in the next video. Remain blessed, and bye bye for now.